Hey guys, how's it going? So, this video is going to be a continuation of a series that I started a long time ago, and I definitely want to apologize for you guys for basically not making a new video for this particular series anytime sooner, but that's okay because we're going to start with this particular video that I'm going to show you guys today. So yeah, so the series that I'm talking about is great Dreamcast games that you can get on a budget. Oh yes. And I'm very excited about that because, you know, if any of you guys are like new Dreamcast collectors out there and all that kind of stuff, you want to get more games for this awesome system, well, that's my job. That's the job of this particular video too, because I really want to help you guys get some amazing games for the Dreamcast in your collections without burning your wallet. So yeah, so anyways, so if you're new to this particular type of series, what I basically do in each one of these videos is that I basically list out 5 Dreamcast games that when they're listed on eBay, they have to be $15 and under. No exceptions, they have to be $15 and under. And keep in mind that that price does not include the shipping. So yeah, but in order to combat that, there is actually one way that I would definitely recommend is if you ever have to find these games in like a retro video game store, more likely or not you should probably definitely get it there instead, because usually, unless this retro video game store is crazy, usually they price the games lower than their eBay counterparts, and on top of that you don't have to pay for shipping, which actually gives you a great third benefit, and that is you do not have to wait for these games to arrive into your mailbox. You basically just buy it from the store, it's in your hands, and you can just pop it into your Dreamcast, and that's that, which is awesome. So yeah, so before we get started on this type of video, there's one thing I have to say, and that is that, and I'm always gonna have to say this for each one of these videos, because due to the way that the retro video game market is, prices are going to change. So if you guys happen to like watch this video way into the future, and you happen to discover that these games are going for prices way more than $15, sorry, there's nothing I can do. It's just that's the way that this type of video and the way that the retro video game market works. But with all that being said, I can guarantee you that at the time I make this video, they are $15 and under. So if any of you guys are like basically worried that the prices of these games might jump in the future, I definitely would recommend picking them up now at the time I make this video. But yeah, with all that being said, let's get started on the second part of my series of great Dreamcast games that you can get on a budget. So the first game that I'm going to talk about is Chu Chu Rocket. Now, this game is very interesting because I've had many people come over and like try to look at this game and all that kind of stuff, and they have absolutely no idea what's going on. They're absolutely confused by it, and I'll be honest, it does look pretty confusing at first because there's so many things going on at the screen at one time. But when you really get into this game is it's really simple actually to understand. It is a whole heck of a lot of fun to play, especially against with other people, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, basically, so I'm gonna try my best to explain to you guys what this game's all about. So Chu Chu Rocket is a game developed by Sonic Team, and the goal is that okay, so there are these space mice that spawn from these pod-like things, and your goal is to basically place down arrows in order to guide them to your particular colored rocket ship. And so I think if you're player 1, you got the color blue. Yeah, it's up to you to decide to recognize which particular color is your rocket ship. But anyways, so I think player 1 is colored blue, and your goal is obviously to get the mice into your blue rocket ship. Doing that will let you earn points and all that stuff. And the person that has the most amount of points by the end of when the time counter runs out wins that particular game. Now, of course, it's not that easy though, because there are these particular space cats. I believe they actually call them Kapu Kapus. I know, they have such weird names, but anyways, but the Kapu Kapus are basically space cats that will eat the mice and all that stuff. And you definitely don't want these things to end up into your rocket ship, because doing that will cause you to lose points. And yeah, so that's not really fun. It definitely creates a challenge. However though, you can direct these space cats into the other opponent's rocket ships, causing them to get screwed over and letting you win the game. So yeah, so that's definitely a lot of fun, and you can only imagine how much more fun that is when you're actually playing against 3 other people. Yes, this game supports 4 players. Isn't that friggin' awesome? Yeah, this game is a really good party game. It's a whole heck of a lot of fun. It's very challenging, and there are many different like arenas that you can play from and all that stuff. So yeah, this game, Chu Chu Rocket, is friggin' good. I definitely recommend it. So the next game that I'm going to talk about is it's basically an arcade compilation thing. It's Midway's Arcadias Greatest Hits Volume 1. Now, this game I particularly like. You know, I've always liked the classical like arcade type of thing because they're a whole heck of a lot of fun. And yes, I do know there are a lot of compilations like that on other consoles and stuff, but the Dreamcast had its own fair share of pretty good ports as well, and this is definitely one of them. So this particular series comes with 6 games. The 6 games are Defender, Joust, Robotron 2004, Bubbles, Sinistar, and Defender 2. Yeah, and they actually run very well and they look great on the Sega Dreamcast. If I'm not mistaken, I believe all these games, maybe not Bubbles, but I'm sure all these games run at a very smooth 60 frames per second. And on top of that, you know, like, of course, when you play these games through the Sega Dreamcast VGA mode, they are extremely sharp. They're very nice to look at. Like, they're essentially very good, like, they're almost like arcade perfect. Yeah, so it's really good emulation that's done on here. And, one more thing I have to say, though, speaking of VGA, is that this is one of the Dreamcast games that requires you to know the boot trick. You have to boot this game into VGA mode. And yeah, so I've actually made like a video about the Retrobit VGA box, and in that particular video, I basically showed you guys how to, you know, like do the do the switch trick in order to boot these games into VGA mode. So I put the link to that particular video in the description, and what time should you skip in order to see how to do the boot trick in order to get this game running. But my gosh, this game is friggin' fun. It looks great on the Sega Dreamcast, and it runs very well too. So yeah, definitely a great game to get for your Dreamcast collection as well. So the next game that I'm going to talk about, or introduce into this list, is another Midway game. Because Midway did such a fantastic job on the Dreamcast. They made a lot of awesome games. And this game is no exception. NFL Blitz 2001. Yes, this is a very good game. If you have seen the original video of this particular series, you would have seen that I showed off another Midway game. NBA Showtime, NBA on NBC. Now, basically, I'm not going to go into too much details about that, but that game plays a lot like NBA Jam, because what happened is that Midway lost the NBA Jam name, or the license, and then they basically continued the same NBA Jam gameplay just through different names. NBA Showtime, NBA NBC. Now, if you played the original NBA Jam games that were on like the Super Nintendo, the Genesis, the arcades, you know, and you would understand how fun and quirky that particular type of game is. NBA Showtime, NBA NBC is absolutely like that, and this game is absolutely like that too, but with football. And that's why I had to bring it into this list. This game is very fun, it's very quirky, and I think, yes, this game supports 4 players, just like Chu Chu Rocket, which this also makes for another great party game as well. It's really fun, it's amazing, and unlike NBA Showtime, NBA on NBC, this game does not need to be booted into VGA. You basically pop this thing into the Dreamcast, and it works immediately in VGA, which is very nice. And yeah, so basically, yeah, it looks very nice. It runs at 60 frames per second, and yeah, and it's a whole heck of a lot of fun. So I definitely recommend this game. NFL Blitz 2001 is another great game for the Sega Dreamcast. Alright, so the next game that I got here is Revolt. This is a very interesting racing game because you don't race with like stuff like, you know, like in Tokyo Extreme Racer where you're racing with Skyline R34s and like Datsun 280Zs and all that. No, what you race with in here is RC cars. That's right. And they basically control a lot like one, which makes it very hard to control this game sometimes. But once you've mastered it, this game is a lot of fun to play. It basically plays a lot like a Mario Kart game, actually, because like you can basically get all these power-ups and fire them at like other opponents and stuff. It's a lot of fun, and it has very decent graphics. And here's a trick: when you first enter into this game and you input your name as Flyboy, then this game becomes 60 frames per second and it looks absolutely gorgeous. It's amazing. And yeah, this is definitely a great game for the Sega Dreamcast. Revolt is a whole heck of a lot of fun, and I would definitely, like all the other games in this particular list, I would definitely recommend this game to you guys. So the last game that I'm going to show off in this list is very interesting because this game was not actually released during the Dreamcast commercially relevant lifespan. In fact, it was actually released in 2008. And what game is that I'm talking about? Well, the game that I'm going to talk about is Wind and Water Puzzle Battles for the Sega Dreamcast. Oh yes, it's the very first independent Sega Dreamcast game that I ever got, and as the name implies, it is actually a puzzle game. Now, it's not like your typical like Bejeweled or your Tetris or any clones like that. No, this game is freaking awesome. I'm going to try my best to explain what the mechanics of this game is like, but basically you have all these tiles and you can change the direction of the way that you flip these tiles with the buttons on the Dreamcast controller, and if you happen to match up like all these blocks of the same color diagonally, you basically earn points and all that kind of stuff. And that was probably a really crappy description of the mechanics of this game, but again, this game's mechanics is really hard to explain. You have to really experience this game for yourself. But other than that, yeah, so, and on top of that, being like fun on its own already, this game is filled with content. There's a lot of things that you can do. Because I believe you have like an arcade mode, which basically you can just mess around all you want, and you get like all these nice characters that you can play with. In fact, they actually introduce a very interesting character, which is essentially a VMU. Yes, you can play as a VMU character in this game. That's crazy. But on top of that, yeah, so you also have like a versus mode where you fight against other people. Only 2 players, but hey, but that's still pretty cool that they included multiplayer in this game. But on top of that, there's actually a full-blown story mode, which I heard takes a long time to complete. Obviously, I don't have time, to play through the entire game. Wish I did, but I did manage to try it out, and I thought it was a lot of fun. There's a lot of cool, witty dialogue in there, and but the thing is, this game is really hard, especially in the story mode, because in order to complete the missions in the story mode, you need to master a certain area of the game. And of course, as the more you progress into the story mode, the harder it is that these missions require you to, to complete it and all that kind of stuff. It's very difficult, but that's why this game is friggin' awesome, and I'm sure that is why that it takes a lot of hours to beat this game. This game is really worth your money. And on top of that, what's really nice about this here is that I did not buy this game used. I actually bought it brand new. Yes, there's actually a website that you can buy this game from. It's called the Bit Station. I put a link to the websites, the link to the website in the description, because they got a lot of amazing independent Dreamcast games, and this game is one of them. In fact, as of right now, I think you can actually get this game for $12 at the Bit Station, brand new, and it's shrink wrap and all that stuff, which is friggin' awesome. So yeah, with all the great content that is in the game, $12 is a freaking steal for this game. It looks amazing, it's a lot of fun to play, and it is really worth the money. So I definitely would recommend Wind and Water Puzzle Battles for the Sega Dreamcast. So yeah, so with that game out of the way, that basically concludes this particular video of great Dreamcast games you can get on a budget. Once again, I really hope you guys enjoyed this series, and I really hope you guys, this list that I provided to you guys, is going to help you guys with your particular Dreamcast collections, especially if you guys are like new to the Dreamcast and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, so basically that's all I have to say. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is the Sega Dreamcast. My name is Michael, and may the dream be with you.